Hello. Hi. It's good to see you again. We're working on the new moon in Scorpio. So I hope you're ready for a little bit of extra mysticism because Scorpio is a sign that loves and is very curious about the occult. Scorpio is also a sign that is all about secrets. So we are talking about the new moon in Scorpio. Let's go ahead and get started. This new moon in Scorpio, depending on where you are located, will depend on what time exactation happens. So if you are on the Pacific Coast, that exactation is happening on November 19th at 10:47 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And if you are on the East Coast, it will be happening on the 20th, and that is because it's happening at 1:47 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Exaltation is happening at 28 degrees 11 minutes in the sign of Scorpio. So this is a really dark and moody sign, and having it in the third decan, think of it as like the most intense intensity that you can imagine. And if you know some Scorpios in your life, you know how intense they are. Let's get our journals ready. So, depending on how you are taking your notes today, if you have a journal, go ahead and open up a new, fresh, beautiful journal page. And you have 4 questions from me, and then you will be writing an intention. So, you'll want nice, lots of space. If you don't have a journal to write in, you can also use note cards. Like, don't stress yourself, you know what I mean? So, if you are, and you can also type it, you can record it, like don't limit yourself, please, and thank you. However you want to spend this time. These are the 4 kinds of questions that I will be asking you. First, we have the power imbalance. Second, we have Scorpio house and decan themes. 3 is meditating with your shadow. And 4 is shadow's value. All right, when you have your journal set up, we can go ahead and move forward with our very first question. But we will be taking a look at that energy window that is opening for us. All right, so let me talk about the energetic window before we get into this first question, unless you're really ambitious, of course. But the energetic window is opening to us on the 16th or the 17th. It's really as the day is changing. So as the day is changing between the 16th and the 17th, that window is really going to open up. It's going to reach peak around the 19th through the 20th, and then it's going to wane, and we're going to see it wane out from the 22nd through the 23rd. I project that if you are somebody who spends time in nightlife or is awake during that day change time where we go from one day's end to another day's beginning, literally the birth and death cycle of the day. I project that if you're somebody who is awake during that time, you're going to experience a lot of potent and energetic magic. So I encourage you to really do the things that make you feel really empowered in those spaces. Listen to your guidance and take the baby steps that you've been wanting to take, right? That's what new moons are really all about, is about planting seeds. And of course, reflecting. So if you need time to spend in reflection, this is a good time, but you can also like break this into pieces if you need it to be more manageable. But you know what? I also put chapters in the description. So if you want to skip around through the video and create the reflection that is the best for you, the chapters are always down there. So use them as you wish. Um, Let's go ahead and get into our very first prompt. So this answer is going to go at the power imbalance part of your notes. So, where are you attempting to control the uncontrollable? What this usually feels like energetically is you'll notice resistance, meaning something that you want won't come to you. That's really what that is. So, your guidance is to let go of it. Does that make sense? Think of it like we are playing a game of archery together. We have a target in the distance, and we have an arrow, and we've pulled it straight to the spot that we're ready to release it and release the arrow, right? If we just hold it, right? We hold the tension and hold the tension. That arrow is not going to go anywhere and we're going to get exhausted. And when we finally get exhausted and let go, it's probably just going to like fall to the ground because we're not holding it with the same precision, right? So then when you're ready to let it go, right? That's releasing it and letting it go. You have to remind yourself that you don't need to care about that thing right now and release it. You don't need to care about the necessarily controlling the outcome because otherwise you're not allowing chaos to do the thing it needs to do, which is to move the things that are not supposed to be in front of you and to move the things that aren't supposed to be in front of you into your aura. So, where are you attempting to control? Where are you attempting to control the uncontrollable? I'm going to take a second and answer mine. You answer yours, and I'll meet you right here in just a moment. I only needed one word, and it took me a really long time to decide that it was only one word I needed. So, my answer is knowing. Um, and that is because I was pressured. I would love to say why. So if you want to skip this, you don't have to listen to my answer, but this is why. Otherwise, you can use the chapters and you can skip. But this is a trauma point because oftentimes our shadows come from uh, points of trauma, something that maybe you had to do under pressure that was stressful or caused you harm uh, in a way that you couldn't anticipate. That's my best way of describing that at this time off the top of my uh intuitive thinking. So my answer is knowing because um when I was younger, there was a lot of pressure put on me from my father to know something right away when knowing usually comes to me through time. I need to process things. Oftentimes, when I am talking about something, I'm talking about how I feel in connection to what I'm experiencing, right? And I think of those things as being pretty interconnected. So, my father and I often had a lot of disagreements because he would require me to give a very blunt and straight answer. But because of who I am, I'm somebody that always sees in between. So I would say that that's one of my shadows that comes up is that I've been working on for a long time. So I feel like this is the time that like I've been releasing this so much, which is connected to my previous sheds that I've had through these videos. But I've been releasing doubt since probably when I turned 30. So it makes sense that as I'm approaching my 35th birthday, that I, yeah, have fully released that. And now I'm taking steps in trusting that the knowing will come to me when the time is divine for it. And I don't need it beforehand. And if somebody's asking for it too soon, then they're not in alignment with whatever I'm doing. Does that make sense? So now that I've talked about this, if you need this slide longer, you can go ahead and stay here. Otherwise, you're welcome to come along with me. Um, really quickly, we're going to talk about the phases of the moon. So as I mentioned, we were just at the full moon in Taurus. This was a time of illumination. You probably got a lot of clarity. You probably have awareness of a lot of important information, and you've done some shedding and release. Uh, at the time that I am recording this, we are only just beginning to wane away from this full moon energy. So blessings are still rolling in. I had like a really beautiful experience. I had many beautiful experiences where I, of course, just let divine handle whatever needed to happen, and I was in the right place at whatever time I needed to be there. Um, but as the time that I'm probably releasing this video will be at the halfway mark. That is symbolic of cyclical change. So you'll probably notice areas where you need to water more, areas where you need to de-weed, if that makes sense, in the garden where you're trying to grow abundance. Yes, abundance and prosperity and legacy and having a good life. So we are currently in, as I'm hoping this video resonates, this new moon. So during the dates we're talking about, we will be in the new moon phase. So that is for beginnings, setting intentions, opportunities for growth, transformations, baby steps. And of course, as always, when the moon is dark, when you cannot see a sliver of the moon, things are often in shadow. Things are hidden from us, and it's usually for a reason. Um, as we are needing to always remind us, these cycles happen cyclically, meaning in a cycle or a circle, right? So I have been showing you this image of like, while we think of like these moon as like, oh, it's full, it's getting smaller, now it's empty or dark or new, and now it's full again, right? And bright. But this is happening constantly in a cycle. And in the current cycle that we are in, if we're talking about lunar years, we are in the year of the snake, and we are coming to the end, the transition phase between Year of the Snake and Year of the Horse. So, woo, I'm so excited because I have been doing such a conscious job of doing my transformation work, my inner alchemy, with the Year of the Snake. So I'm really excited to be going towards my Year of the Horse because that is the year that I am. So, Year of the Snake, we had wood snake. This is wood is connected with this idea of continual, that if something is a piece of wood, right, it is a piece of organic material that is usually growing. I think of it like a tree trunk, um, like a wood snake in that sense, where it's this beautiful piece of organic material where it isn't until you burn it that it can become something else, which is either ash, smoke, or part of the combusted flame, right? So, this year has been one of rooting, meaning really planting and rooting yourself into the ground. This can mean ancestral work, so working with family things, family ties, um, your inner family, your soul family, creating or rooting into a soul family that feels right. It's been a time of renewal, and I mentioned inner alchemy, the burning away, right? This year we started full moon beach burns. So, this has also been a time of shedding, releasing, thinking of the snake with the old skin coming off to reveal new skin. And with that, transformation, massive change. So, what was the most memorable moment of your transformational shed of this year? I'm not going to be revealing my answers to this question until we get into Year of the Horse. So we will share our answers then. So take out a page. You should have a page in your journal that is about the eclipses. And if you are doing loose sheets of paper or not keeping track of it, that is literally okay. Um, but if you want to start starting right now, you can. But if not, take out something to write on for right now. On one side, you're going to write snake, and the other side, you're going to write horse. Okay. Okay. What was the most memorable moment of your transformational shed this year? All right. And then we are entering Year of the Horse on the 17th of February, 2026. So, usually I would say like 3 months before is like a good time to start thinking about the transition phase. So we're in that phase right now. So this is when inner alchemy, what is taking place, all of that transformational um, work, all of that inner alchemy then gets to be embodied. So it's about the freedom and embodied action, the bold action that we take through transformation. How when we have truly transformed ourselves, we no longer are tied to the things that are holding us back. We're no longer tied to those things. So we're able to flourish. We're able to make new exciting changes in our life because that beginning flame begins to spark a blaze of wanting to make exciting changes, wanting to move forward. This is about passion. It's about pursuing new opportunities. It's about bold action. So taking the risk because you no longer have the fears that hold you back. So your question for this coming year, as we are still shedding, so we might not have be sitting in the fullest part of this energy, but we're given a taste of it in this moment. Now that my skin is shed, what horizon am I galloping towards? All right. So, um, thank you for sitting with this question. We are going to get back to our questions for this new moon. I just wanted to take a second and reroute us in the whole entirety of the year because I think it's important to do that. Because, of course, this new moon in some way is always going to be somewhat about shedding at the same time as movement forward because we are sitting between these beautiful phases, right? This dark moon is in the sign of Scorpio, so it's extra potent for specifically these themes of darkness, banishing, releasing, cleansing, preparing for a new beginning, reflection in the darkness, intention setting for this new moon in Scorpio. So right now, I'm making massive change in my life so that I can take great and bold action next year. And I'm really looking forward to it. So, I hope that you are also feeling an impending change coming and that it gives you renewal for hope so that you can do the cleansing that you need now so that everything else will be easier. Oh, let's talk about the meditation. you can kind of do this in any way that you want. It's meant to be somewhat of a conversation. So I'm going to read to you what this says, but please adapt this for what feels intuitively exciting and comfortable for you. So, this is your shadows meditation. You are going to be conversing with your shadow. So, your meditation today is focused on uncovering your shadow. You may already know the shadow you want to work with, but if you don't, a good place to start is to think of something you want to experience or achieve. You can practice this conversation out loud. You can also audio record it. I am going to be audio recording it uh, here, and you can do it different ways. One of the ways that an activity that I find meditative, where I can converse with spirit, is carving on candles. So I'm going to be hosting a new moon circle on the 19th, and we're doing a shadow cleansing. We're cleansing our shadows. So if you would like to join that, I'm going to be doing the ritual and then I will also be talking about it. So if you would like to do the ritual as well, you're welcome to. But a good thing to do is if you're somebody like me and you like to do and practice magic, you can carve on a candle and you can use a knife. I typically do, but for safety purposes, I've had friends in the past who have tried to follow my guidance and use a knife, and spirit said don't do that. So I also recommend using a chopstick, and you can use the end that's kind of like sharp. I don't know, can you see it? There you go. You can use a little sharp end and you can carve little runes into your candle. And that's a way that you can communicate with the unseen. It's a way that at least like people who practice magic have been doing that for very long, for for Lore's time. We are going to collect our energy and set an intention together. So what I would like you to do is uh, sit on your root, roll your shoulders back, pull them down. Take a few breaths, just grounding yourself. Into your breath fully and take the deepest breath you've taken all day. Hold 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. May we understand our depth through this time together and be prepared for a bold year ahead. Okay. So here are the questions. I'm gonna give you these two questions so that you have them in your mind as we go into this. So, what shadow is asking you to understand it? If you want to write this question down, you can. But what shadow is asking you to understand it? What shadow is saying, this is the shadow I want to work with this year? So through this moon work today, we're hoping to really gather a shadow that we want to focus on for this year. So this is your meditating with your shadow question. So if you need this question longer, or if you've taken a picture of it, if you have it, no need to stay on the slide longer. Here's the other one. This is your shadow's value question. How has the same shadow that we just identified in this question, how has this shadow been beneficial or necessary for your survival in the past? So I want to talk about shadows briefly because when people talk about shadow work, I've noticed that a lot of people focus on banishing. And while that is probably very helpful for a lot of people, I find that it is really helpful to practice integration with your shadows because your shadows are here for a reason. They're usually um, armor that we have had to put on to protect us from something. So, for example, um, whatever your shadow is, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna use one that just came to my mind. It was one that we did in a shadow work retreat with I Am Medicine. So if you're ever interested in doing retreats, we are going to be hosting more of them in the near future. So if you want to stay in contact about that, please go to IamMedicine.com. Please sign up. Please put your little sweet little email in there because we want to help you unlock the medicine that is within you. So, um, the one that I'm going to work on is consumerism because I feel like, also we're about to enter the holiday season, which is a very consumerist version of the winter solstice. So, traditionally, people who were pagans, so people who practice magic, people who didn't necessarily have a theology where they focus on a figurehead, but might harness energy around them, or even people who just guard the energy of the earth, right? So we talking about moons, right? Winter solstice is an actual like astronomical thing that happens, right? It's the shortest day of the year. It's the longest night. So in celebrating that, people have celebrated many different way. Christians celebrate the archetype of Jesus being born. People who celebrate, and of course, that is celebrated also by um, many people through many other types of faiths um, that we don't need to get into today. But this is the time where we usually go inward and we focus on um, inner alchemy. So think of it as this part of the year is going to be extra potent for us all because it is the most potent time to do shadow work, usually because this year is a year of shadow work, as Year of the Snake is inner alchemy, then it's an extra energetic, potent time to be doing this work. So let's go ahead and continue. Um, Shadows are usually something that you've had to protect yourself from. So we see a lot of people who are consumerist because it is a way of desensitizing, right? Or escape from emotions, from situations, from usually feelings. But we have this like consumerist holiday, so it makes sense that, I'm feeling drawn to work on this shadow. So the shadow has been beneficial in the past, right? It is something that has stimulated the economy. However, that was really helpful during the time when the economy was more equal, right? And there wasn't a problem of hoarding of wealth. So we don't live in the same time where that shadow is helpful. So we have this consumerist holiday coming up. So if we're thinking about at the macro scale of us all as a society, right? We've lost track of the reason that we usually enjoy the season, right, of life. Whether it is you celebrate the archetype of somebody who stood for doing good to all and not judging others. That's what the archetype of Jesus stands for, right? Is not judging others and sacrificing to help those who are in need of salvation, right? Or whether it's you celebrate an archetype of somebody who does good things for children, right? As with Santa Claus, he was known for doing good things for children, particularly in impoverished situations. And we're looking at our world, and it's a time where like SNAP benefits are being cut off. So there's like this, we've lost track of what this season is about, right? Which is coming back to center. At this moment, I'm hearing church bells, and I'm really grateful for that because I love to hear church bells. It's my favorite sound. Okay. I feel like we've talked about shadow enough now, so I don't want you to feel ashamed of whatever it is that you write on the paper. Allow yourself to write whatever it is that you write. Okay. So I'm going to be talking back and forth with my shadow. You can do that on your side, my love, and I'll see you in a moment. We're going to pull a card for us as we move into the remaining part of this time together, the end of this moon guidance together. All right, so hopefully by this time you have finished your meditation, or if you are wanting to do that at a separate time, I understand. However, you decided to work your moon reflection is for you. But I'm going to go ahead and pull a card because we are doing a new moon in Scorpio, and Scorpio loves the occult. So we're going to pull a card for us all together. This is going to be a card that is for the collective for guidance. Okay, so what is it that we all, as a people united, need to know from spirit as we are moving forward through the end, as we move forward through this lunation? Okay, so you saw a card flew out like this. Is this card? Ace of Pentacles. Okay. Uh, the guidance that comes with this is to allow yourself to become vigilant for new opportunities. There's going to be new opportunities that may be somewhat foggy. However, it will be made clear because it will be presented to you. So that's great news. So enjoy this energy. So as this new moon is coming upon us, allow yourself to be ready for opportunities to be handed your way. What do we not expect? I always look at the bottom of the deck for that. And at the bottom of the deck, look at this. This is the Four of Pentacles. So we have a Pentacles card, an Ace, and a Four of Pentacles. Four of Pentacles is a card that is comes with a caution of be aware of when you are using too much of your energy for something and when you need to pull back on your energy, when you need to be more guarded. You can be discerning of that. Just reflect, and you will have nothing to worry about because you will be attuned to your highest self and be balanced so that um, You are never cold to somebody that you wish to be warm to, and you are never over generous to somebody who would steal from you. All right, so let's go ahead and move forward. You should have your answers to these questions. So if you need this slide longer, you can stay here as long as you need. This is what shadow is asking for you to understand it. What shadow is saying, let's spend some time in reflection together, my love. Otherwise, if you're ready to move forward, this is the other question that you should have an answer to, but how has the same shadow from the previous question, how has that same shadow been beneficial or necessary for your survival in the past? How has the same shadow been beneficial or necessary for you and your survival in the past? If you need this slide longer, you can pause here. Otherwise, let's talk about the major themes. So the major themes of Scorpio, and this is, of course, not extensive. There is even more than this. So Scorpio energy really focuses on the sacral body. This is the lower half of the body, the pelvis, the whole pelvic body. So the urethra, the prostate, the genitals, the reproductive system. It is the sacral chakra, and I would say it's connected to that root chakra as well. Connected also here is blood and the nose. Think of it like what you cannot see. Scorpio would be able to smell out, right? Scorpio is very observant, is very attuned energetically, that they have a great intuitive sense. So, in including of this, Scorpio is also a very intense sign, a very passionate sign, very deeply emotional sign. It's a very beautiful part of Scorpio's complexity. So it's often really sad to me that they do get such a negative stereotype. And it is because of how intense they are. They are a very intense sign. And if you're a sign that is more, for example, Libra, that can be really intense for you to even hold, right? Just because you are somebody who has to hold so many people's emotions that it can feel unfair, even though you want to hold this person as carefully as you often do. Uh, Also with Scorpio is death and rebirth, transformation, the quest for authenticity, power versus control, metaphysical, the occult, the mysterious and unseen, secrets, unknown, loyalty and protection, determination, jealousy, water and intuition, fears and shadows, Hades and the underworld, connected here to Pluton and goddess Serket and the god Ra from Egyptian mysticism as well. A couple things to just quickly say here. So, Scorpio is a very powerful sign. I tend to think of magician energy. I think of like Scorpio is either a witch or a wizard. It's a warlock energy. Um, but I think it's really important to remember that we don't fall into that magician archetype that desires control, right? We want power to be able to harness the energies of the universe towards the goodwill of us all, right? And towards a better world together so that we can be more united and take care of one another. There's more empathy in the world. It's personally how I feel. And so one of the important things to be able to see is when somebody is using power for forms of control, right, in order to exert control over situations or to benefit themselves, to manipulate. Um, we'll talk about some of these more, but at this moment, please just write down any any Scorpio themes here that relate to you. Just make sure to take a note of them. If you would need this slide longer, you can go ahead and stay here. Otherwise, let's talk about the third decan of Scorpio, which is where this new moon is reaching exactation. So it's reaching exactation at 28 degrees, 11 minutes in Scorpio. So we're almost at the end of Scorpio's energetic range here. And this is a Cancer triplicity. So we have Venus and the moon are very important here. So this is a fascination with anything related to the occult, the things that you might find in the shadows of the forest. This decan of Scorpio is a very focused, like think of like the most studious person that you can think of, but instead of like doing that with books, they are that way in the real world, right? Very connected to primal energy. Think of like a wolf that's very Scorpio. Kind of like that discerning entity that is really good at covering their tracks. They're loyal. They're connected to the notion of rebirth or resurrection, uh, renaissance. They have a defensive sting. Something that they should be aware of is if they feel like they must defend themselves, sometimes that they sting a little too hard when they don't need to. And there's a medicine in there for them, but also with this decan, it is about healing and the medicine of the shadow. Connected also to muscarine, which you can find in some psychedelics, mushroom medicine. Think of savage nature, that nature can be beautiful, but it can also be extremely wild and savage, and living by instinct versus by like practicality. Like you know something when you know it and you listen to that. Other words here that make sense: imaginative, proud, creative, the nurturer, and the wizard. Austin Coppock has said, though often magnetic, those born with the sun in this decan, so here in the third decan of Scorpio, struggle with themselves, for their desires, if unchecked, will lead them astray. So think of when we were talking about consumerism as well as a theme for this time of year, right? As we're getting close to holiday season, we're often our desires are left unchecked in a consumerist society because they want you to desire things that you may not need, right? You may not have an actual need for that thing. You're being led astray. So those are some things to just keep in mind and have caution of. So as we're sitting here in the energy of this slide, I also want to point us to the two tarot cards on this page. Scorpio is also connected to these cards. For example, death. We talked about resurrection, rebirth. With every death comes a new beginning. So not only that card, but also these Seven of Cups, which is about discernment. It's about really taking your time to pick up things and discern whether something is one of your heart's true desires or if it is something that is not in alignment. Caution here is with addiction and excess as well. All right, if you need this slide longer, but please make sure you're writing down a couple of things from this slide that may resonate with you. If you need this slide longer, you can go ahead and stay here. Otherwise, let's start zooming in. So we're looking for this sign on your chart. And if you do not have your chart in front of you, here's how you can find yours. You can make one at Time Passages or one of the links that I post in the description below. You will need your birth date, your birthplace, and your birth time to get all of the houses that we are going to be talking about. However, if you don't have your time, that's okay. You can intuit most of this. This is just if you really want to have those solid answers, you can get them through having the precise birth date, birthplace, and birth time. So we're looking for the sign of Scorpio in your chart. Mine is right down here between the second and third house. So I'm just going to make a note of that. So you're looking for in the pie crust these little numbers. This tells you which house you're transiting. So this blue line is Scorpio, and it is between the second and the third house. So I'll probably hit my second house. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to be hitting this way. So it'll hit my second house and then my third house. So here's the first or the sixth house. If that is where your Scorpio is, please go ahead and write some of the themes that relate to you. Mine are in my second and third house. So finances, possessions, and values. Yes. If you need this slide longer, you can go ahead and stay here. Otherwise, here are the houses 7 through 12. Take a moment to write down the themes where Scorpio is transiting for you. All right, you can stay here if you need this slide longer. Otherwise, let's put the puzzle pieces together and write that intention. So these are the questions that we had for today. You will have one intuitive thing to answer, but this is all the stuff you need for right now. So your power imbalance, where are you attempting to control the uncontrollable? Meditating with your shadow, what shadow is asking you to understand it? Shadow's value. How has the same shadow been beneficial or necessary for your survival in the past? And what themes seem to be emerging most prominently for you? Once you have all the puzzle pieces, and of course, you can stay here longer if you need it, but we are going to put them right into our reflection to intention. So go ahead and take a few moments to write down your intention, and then we will go ahead and share them. If you notice, the ending of it is you providing your intuitive answer. So if that doesn't come to you right away, that's okay. You can take your time to discern that. Um, and when you get that answer, you may get it at the end of this next season, right? When we get to the full moon in Scorpio. But hopefully you prepare ahead, right? That's what I do with these videos. My goal is always so that you prepare ahead enough so that you're aware as you face your spiritual tests what your highest self is asking you to do. Wow. Wow, when you get an answer, you get an answer. Oof. All right. So you should have your intention written down. Um, All right. I'm going to read you mine. Um, I changed some of the framework to just match some of the words that I had used because some of my words would have been just repeated in a way that would have been unsavory to me as somebody who just adores language. So here is my answer to my intention for this new moon in Scorpio. As I am invited to explore the bounds of my shadows, I notice I struggle to trust that knowing comes in divine time. As I handle themes of finances, values, and communication. While my shadow of having an answer right away has helped me in the past to stay safe, I realize that the shadow blocks me from my heart's desires when I sit in fears. I now know I must move differently by allowing myself time to discern. So I used to get hit if I didn't have an answer for a question right away, or I would get like a really severe punishment for not having a quick answer, even if the answer was not complete or wrong in some essence. So having an answer really fast helped me in the past to stay safe. However, it doesn't serve me because I know that knowledge comes in divine time and you get wisdom when you encounter things. As I said that, this candle finally uh, blew out. So to me, I'm being asked to remember that nobody needs an answer right away, right? Things come in divine time. So I'm sorry you have to wait for this good news to come your way. Um, I'm figuring out details and I want you to be surprised when I tell you. So I'm just very excited. And that was my intention. So I hope that that resonated with you. If you would like to share your intention, I would love to read it. I know that shadow work is a very vulnerable thing to do. So if you share yours, I would be greatly appreciated. The next full moon that we are having is in the sign of Gemini, and it is our last full moon of the year. This is happening on December 4th on a Thursday at 3:14 a.m. Pacific Standard Time or at 6:14 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is a good time for making moon water, charging up crystals, doing ritual release or altar work. And it's happening at 13 degrees, 3 minutes into Gemini. So we will be in the second decan of Gemini, which is a nice middle point. So I'm looking forward to it. But until we have this beautiful full moon, let's really enjoy sitting in that new moon in Scorpio energy. It's so delicious. Um, you're a sweet little delicious gem of a human being, and I love you so much. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope that you treat yourself to something special because doing shadow work is hard. I love you so, so much. Enjoy your day. Bye.